Most realtors can become rich, but unfortunately cannot become wealthy. In this video, I want to explain why that is, to give you a different frame of thinking, and also what my plan is in order to create wealth. Because a lot of agents, unfortunately, usually can't look past either the next deal or the next year, or at best, the next 5 years. And what happens long term is people start to realize that they got into real estate to create wealth, but never approached it in a way that allowed them to do it. And now they're at the point where they want to exit or retire or spend more time with their family or go on vacation, and they're not in a position to do so. So hopefully this video is going to help make sure that you don't fall into that same trap. What's up, guys? It's Mike Sherrard with eXp Realty. I help train thousands of agents every year to scale their business the modern way. And I'm excited to talk about this topic because I really just want to give you a different frame of thinking. Because unfortunately, a lot of people don't really have the ability to future pace where they're going, where they might end up, and the steps that they need to do in order to get to that position. And every agent that I know, I've talked to over 1,200 agents in the last 12 months who are looking at partnering with us, and the common consensus is that they all want to get into real estate to create wealth, which is great. But let's look at the difference between rich and wealth. So when somebody is rich, usually that implies that they've got money freedom. So they're making a good amount of money and they have the ability to buy nice things and do whatever. But in contrast to that, you've got wealth. And wealth is both money freedom and time freedom, which is what we want, because I can tell you even from experience that if you've got money freedom, but you don't have the time to enjoy it, whether you've got $100,000 coming in a year, $1 million, $10 million, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to enjoy it. And a lot of people are working towards certain income goals, but they're not working towards certain time goals, because ultimately I would much rather be somebody that makes, $1 million a year, but has the ability to work 4 or 5 hours a day if I want to, and to be able to take a vacation and my income not change, than to make $10 million a year and to always have to be working 16 hours a day in order to maintain that. Otherwise, I'm in a position where my income goes down. So let's first start with how most agents are approaching their business and why they think it's going to allow them to create wealth, but usually in most cases it's not. Then I'll talk to you about approaches you can take that will allow you to create wealth as a realtor. And then I'm going to wrap it up with my exact plan of what I'm doing. So starting with what most realtors do, the first thing is just looking at they're solely relying on commission, right? One income stream, which requires your time invested in creating it, and they're just closing deal after deal. Every single year, deal after deal, 20 deals, 50 deals, 100 deals, doesn't matter. It's always deal after deal. And when you look at this, it's not a bad thing. It's just not going to lead you to creating wealth because it requires your time and effort. But what you'll realize is that maybe you're 30 years old, 40 years old. Once you get to a certain point in life, whether it be due to age, whether it be due to health, whether it be due to just balance with family and different things that come up in life, your time and effort is inevitably going to reduce and at some point go away altogether because you want to retire or whatever your situation is. And the worst part is that you have to do it every single year. Every year you start from zero. So last year I saw all these agents, the market was hot as hell. And if you didn't have a good year last year, then I don't really know what to say because it was the easiest market that you could be in. And everyone was posting about, I did 60 deals this year, I did 80 deals this year. Well, that's great, but January 1st, you start with zero. And now you've got to go do it all over again. And what I want you to understand is that you can make a lot of money doing that, focusing on sales, but you cannot make money and save your way to prosperity. And when I'm talking about prosperity, I'm talking about wealth. Because what happens in most cases is that as income increases, so do expenses. So income increases, you start doing more deals, you go from 25 to 50 to maybe 100 deals a year, but now you've got, you go from a Toyota to, a Range Rover, and then you go from a 2,000 square foot house to an 8,000 square foot house. And then what you start seeing is that you're making more money, but incrementally in alignment with that is your expenses are going up equally as much. So when you start looking at time, you're making more money, but the time you've got in terms of freedom is going to be the same. And this is ultimately why agents end up paying for vacations twice, and why most agents either can't go on vacation, or when they do, they can't even enjoy it because number one, they're paying for the vacation. Number two, they're paying for the opportunity cost of lost clients, lost deals while they're on vacation. And that's why, unfortunately, you see a lot of agents, and there's memes about it and stuff, is that, you can't even go on vacation or go on a dinner date and not be checking your phone, not looking at emails, not answering phone calls, which is terrible because you're not even present with the people that you're with on vacation. Now, the one thing that some agents that start to make decent money will do, which does create wealth, is that they'll start to invest in properties. But the one thing I want you to understand is that When you solely rely on active income in order to buy investment properties, your ability to create enough wealth to really leave free is very rare. Now, there's a lot of people that do it. I know people that do it, and that's wonderful, but I'm just talking for the average agent, because if you look at the residual that I make right now, in order to get that through rental properties, you need about $9 million after taxes for enough 20% down payments in order to get the residual. And if you want to double that, which would put you in a position of basically financial freedom, you need to go get another $9 million. And if you're doing that through active income, then that means you've got to go close another 100 deals a year or whatever for the next however many years in order to get that, to do it all over again. And it's really not a sustainable way or an efficient way, in my opinion, that allows you to create leverage of your money and time by the nature of being a realtor in order to get to the point where you create wealth. And again, I'm not saying that it can't be done. It can be done. I know people have done it, but a lot of these people are kind of the anomalies, the 1%. But this video is intended for the 20%, the 50% that are going to make it in the industry and then want to actually create wealth based on all the hard work that they're doing. So now let's talk about creating wealth as a realtor. And when you look at wealth, wealth requires 4 things, hence the wealth quadrant. You've got duplication, equity ownership, passive or residual income, and multiple streams of income. This is the same reason why the traditional agents, in terms of their approach, want to get rental properties, because it allows them to get equity ownership in properties, duplication of doors, passive or residual income, and multiple streams of income. The problem is that at a traditional brokerage, you have one income stream that requires your time invested in creating it. If you don't invest your time, you have no income, you have no wealth, but also lifestyle requires time freedom, money freedom. So you can make money freedom, but you cannot create time freedom because of what I just said. So when you start looking at wealth, let's look at how I'm approaching it and how many others are deciding to approach it once they start to understand what's actually happening. Because you probably know that I've got the group, the Wolfpack at eXp Realty, which is a record-breaking group. We've done a ton of incredible stuff for the agents. But let me show you how I'm not only creating wealth for myself, but helping, as you might have seen on one of my other videos, talking about my goals, which is to help 1,000 agents make $1 million a year. This is exactly how I'm going to do it, is by allowing agents to create wealth by the nature of being an agent, not having to go learn another skill set and take on more risk and liability and headaches and all kinds of stuff like that to invest. If they want to invest, that's fine, but I want to help agents become wealthy doing what they are already doing. So let's break that down. Looking at the 4 components of the wealth quadrant. So first, let's break down the multiple streams of income. We'll start there. When you look at a traditional brokerage, you've got one income stream, not multiple. At eXp, we've got 3 because you have commission, obviously. You've got stock or equity ownership in the company, and which just so happens to also be the fastest growing brokerage in history. And number 3, you've got the revenue share, which is the residual component, the reoccurring component, which is going to be the really exciting part. Now, the second aspect is let's look at equity. Well, as we already talked about, one of the income streams is getting equity ownership in your business. So now, instead of being at a traditional franchise brick and mortar brokerage where essentially you're renting your business but telling people they should buy versus rent, because you don't have ownership in the brokerage that you're paying a monthly fee to and paying for that office. Whereas we, by dropping overhead, reducing expenses, going cloud-based, we have the ability to get ownership in the company because they can afford to give more back to the agents. Now, number 3, you've got the passive or residual income component, which again comes from the revenue share. And number 4, you've got duplication. And with the duplication, similar to duplication of doors, you've got duplication of agents that you're able to help bring in and change their lives. And I think that's one of the things that's really important is when you look at people that say, well, Mike, I don't like the idea of bringing agents into a brokerage. Okay, so, let's say somebody hits me up, I'm at RE/MAX, and let's say somebody, a family member, friend, relative, or somebody on social media hits me up and says, Mike, where should I go? I just got my license. I'm going to say RE/MAX. You're at Sotheby's, you'll say Sotheby's. You're at Coldwell, you'll say Coldwell. Doesn't matter which brokerage you're at, you're going to say the one that you're at. The only difference is you're going to get nothing for doing it. And over here, you get compensated because not all of the money goes to the broker selfishly, like a traditional franchise brick and mortar brokerage. The money comes back to the agents, which is why eXp gave $125 million back to the agents last year for helping the company grow. But not just helping the company grow. When you look at the average agent in my group last year, I believe when I run the stats, the average agent doubled their commission last year. So we're not only bringing them into a model where they can make more than 100% commission, they can get 3 income streams to create wealth. They have equity, residual, but also we're helping them skyrocket their production. And this is a really important thing, so that when we look at the duplication, it's now allowing us to provide a higher level of service and education to help agents build their business quicker, get the training, support, education, and mentorship that they deserve, and allow them to have the same opportunity as us. So now when we look at the overall plan, let me kind of break it down for you. The first thing is helping people, the 1,000 agents who want to help make $1 million a year or more, ideally, is that you start looking at the residual component and being able to then funnel that into investment property. So now you're not relying on your active income or your time invested into the business to have to grind for years, make enough money to get certain rental properties. You just look at the fact that you've got the residual, and then you can use that residual to invest because it's going to come back again next month. And one of the cool things that I really like is when you look at a traditional approach from agents, getting a portfolio of rental properties through active income. If they, again, want to double the residual, they have to go make double the income to go do it all over again. And there's high risk, high liability, tenants, termites, toilets, and the pipes could break, right? When you look at the residual component of a company like EXP, if I want my residual to double, I basically, in most cases, wait 12 months. And that's what allows me to live so stress-free and to be able to have a flexible lifestyle, which is what I always dreamed of. But when I was at a traditional brokerage, I never thought I would ever get, because you're always in the rat race of the next deal and the next deal and the next deal. Whereas now I can go on vacation for a week and my income doesn't change. And that's a very beautiful position to be in as you start looking long term. Now, the second big thing about why the residual component of this is so powerful for creating wealth is that you retain it after you stop closing deals. So at a traditional brokerage, when you stop closing deals, you get a handshake and a thank you from your broker for making them a ton of money. And then your income goes to zero after maybe 10, 20, 30 years of helping that brokerage grow and making that brokerage a ton of money, which is pretty sad when you think about it. As an employee, you're better off, because as an employee, at least you get some sort of compensation package and retirement plan. As a realtor, you don't. So hopefully you've saved up enough, but newsflash, most agents don't. So when you look at the model that we've chosen to work with, is that if I stop closing deals tomorrow, then as long as I maintain my license and active standing, I'm going to continue to get my residual till the day I die, which is really powerful. And then the last part of it is looking at the long-term or afterlife goals. So I've got a couple videos talking about the different stages of goals: short-term, mid-term, long-term, lifetime, afterlife goals. When you look at this, the beautiful part about what this allows you to do in terms of a wealth perspective is it allows you to not just create personal wealth, but it allows you to create generational wealth. And this is what I love, because the residual component is willable. So if something happens, your family's good. The ones you care for most are good. They're taken care of. And this is something that I work very hard towards, because I want to make sure that the next 5 generations never have to worry about money. So I just wanted to give you that frame of thought, because a lot of people don't quite understand the residual component or the revenue share or the equity and how that's important and how that plays in long term, because they're only thinking about the next 12 months. Well, I can tell you for certain that there's going to be a point in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now where you're going to look back and hopefully remember this video and realize, damn, I just missed the boat. Now you have to go try and make more money, spend more time, buy more properties, and hope to God that's enough to float the lifestyle that you want after you stop closing deals. So hopefully this gives you a different frame of perspective. If you have any other questions, just either drop a comment or feel free to reach out, book a one-on-one call with me if you want to talk about partnering. But otherwise, thanks so much for tuning in. As always, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.